Another important event in early American history is the Great Assault of 1622 and 1644. So, the Great Assault of 1622 was an attack on the European settlements of the Virginia Company, aka like Jamestown and a couple of other surrounding colonies. This assault was led by the Powhatan people, but more specifically Obi-Chunkanut and Opichipam. And so this great assault was extremely carefully planned out, and they were just kind of attempting to scare the colonists out of the country. However, one of the European settlements, and the most well-known one, Jamestown, was warned about this potential assault, and they did have time to prepare for it. And although they were warned, roughly 375 out of 1,200 English colonists died. So, I mean, you think of that, that's still over 25% of people died. And so, obviously, this was a big success for Obi-Chunkanut and the people of the Powhatan Confederacy. Previous to the attack, English colonies and the Powhatan people had a fairly good relationship, but it began to dwindle and deteriorate as the English began stealing food and abusing the Powhatan people and destroying crops knowingly. It seemed like the English just got very comfortable in their environment, and almost too comfortable. And this resulted in Obi-Chunkanut being super upset and wanting to attack the English with the goals of showing the Powhatan people's military skills, even though they didn't have the most updated technology. And they were hoping that this ultimately would influence the English to pack up and go back to their original country. And like I said, the Great Assault of 1622 was primarily a success. And then roughly 22 years later, a similar mindset came from the Powhatan people, that they wanted to have another surprise attack, which is the Great Assault of 1644, with the same goals of hoping that the English would leave the country. So they started this assault, but it basically backfired as English forces grew because they became larger over 20 years. They were building a society of their own. And eventually, during this time, Obi-Chunkanut was captured by them and was held captive in prison. And eventually, Obi-Chunkanut was shot dead. And this resulted in the Powhatans losing a lot of strength and power and governance over their land. And ultimately, they did end up losing a majority of their land and people as the English just continued to grow.